Good day, brothers and sisters. I'm Sister Ayu Abangan, and I am your Welfare and Self-Reliance Services Manager, covering the areas of Biliran, Leyte, Cebu, and Bohol provinces. And today, we will walk you through the Area Temporal Preparedness Guide here in the Philippines. And this is offered as an addition to currently available church literature on emergency preparedness, food storage, financial planning, and other related topics found on providentliving.churchofjesuschrist.org. Ito pong tool na to is specifically designed for members here in the Philippines so that we can prepare for the unforeseen circumstances or yung mga dangers na pwedeng mangyari sa ating mga buhay at sa ating mga families. And this will help us to prepare because this includes the most essential aspects of temporal preparedness. Now, brothers and sisters, this is categorized into 4 major sections such as the emergency planning. We also have the home storage and production, financial preparedness, and emotional preparedness. This material is also available in English and you can download it through our church website and gospel library. Our hope in the department is that you will encourage the families in your ward and branches to print or have a printed copy of this document so that they can begin their preparations as early as today. Let me start this training by reading to you a scripture found or ang sinabi po sa ating pala ni President Russell M. Nelson. He said, and I quote, "For decades, the Lord's prophets have urged us to store food, water, and financial reserves for a time of need. I urge you to take steps to be temporarily prepared." Sometimes the feeling of preparation is really overwhelming. But the purpose of our training today is to help you understand that these things can be simplified. Sa mga maliliit po nating mga action, sa ating mga maliliit na mga steps, we will eventually go from being unprepared to becoming more prepared and fully prepared for the other or a lot of emergencies that can come our way. Remember that when we act in faith and do our part to care for our temporal needs, let us expect that Heavenly Father will magnify all the things that we do and He will reward our simple efforts. So let us now start our training on Area Temporal Preparedness Guide. And throughout my presentation, I'll be referring to this training as ATPG para po short lang yung ating pagsabi ng ating document. Okay? So this is the table of contents and you can see na ito po ay hinati sa 4 and there are specific topics and the corresponding pages so that you can easily locate kung saan niyo po gustong magtuon ng pansin or what aspect of your ATPG you would like to work on as an individual or as a family. Okay? Now, emergency planning, dito po muna tayo sa aspeto ng pagpe-prepare sa mga emergencies. Pag sinabi nating emergencies, yung mga hindi natin inaasahan na mga pangyayari. Sabi po sa atin sa Scripture, Doctrine and Covenants, section 38 verse 30, it says, and I quote, "If ye are prepared, ye shall not fear." So nandito po ang 4 na tinatawag nating cycle. First of all, we prepare for the challenges in our lives. Kaya nga po yung 4 na preparation binanggit dyan, yung emergency planning, home storage and production, financial preparedness, and emotional preparedness. Pag dumating ang emergencies, it's not a question kung darating sila or hindi dahil dalagang darating po sila. But the thing is, are we ready when they come? So all of us will go through these experiences, these challenges in our lives. And our hope that when we are prepared, we can be able to overcome all of these things. Siyempre po pag dumaan tayo doon, meron din tayong tinatawag na nag-heal and grow tayo sa mga pinagdaanan natin. And the next time around, when they come again, we are more prepared, not only temporarily speaking, but ando din po yung ating ang mental and emotional preparedness as well. And of course, wag natin kakalimutan yung ating spiritual preparedness. All right. Now, let's first talk about what we can do in our very homes. Kasi nandiyan yung pinakaunang step or hakbang para po tayo maging prepared sa ating mga families. Therefore, let's prepare our home for emergencies. So, meron tayong tinatawag na mga general preparation and specific preparation. For example, halimbawa po ay kailangan natin na mag-shut off tayo ng mga utilities natin during these times of calamities. Alam natin kung saan sila malolocate. And also, we have to identify kung ano po yung mga food, water, and other non-food essentials na dapat po nating itinatabi correct amount para po sa bawat member ng ating family. So make sure that especially water kapag panahon po ng mga ganitong klase ng emergencies, we need to survive. And water and food are the most essential things that we need to have stored in our homes. Then also, may mga pagkakataon din na hindi tayo makagamit ng mga regular na ginagamit natin sa bahay. So we have to come up with other survival things like ano ba yung mga cooking solutions na pwede natin magamit. And of course, our emergency kit. Pag sinabi mo pong bag kasi or kit, kailangan ready to go ka. Kung baka kukunin mo na lang, andiyan siya sa specific place and you know where to locate them. So all of these things will help us prepare for specific disasters na pwedeng dumating sa ating mga buhay. Now, when we prepare our emergency kit, there are at least 4 major items that you need to include. Number 1, pag-usapan po natin, dapat nandiyan yung shelter. Paano po tayo makakatulog in case we have to go outside the home, we have to evacuate the place. Kailangan meron tayong secured na gamit para tayo ay makapag-camp somehow. And then of course, I said it a while ago, food and water. Kailangan din natin ng light. Importante yan, no? It's hard to grope in darkness. So kailangan meron tayong mga extra batteries and flashlights working. And also, do not forget communication device. Ano yung mga paraan natin para makapag-usap tayo in any case na magkahiwa-hiwalay or kailangan po natin mag-communicate sa isang agencies para tayo ay mabigyan din po ng response during these calamities or emergencies. Then include medical supplies because as you all know, during these times of difficulty, marami mga tindahan na nagsasara. That includes pharmacy as well. So make sure yung mga basic medicine kits meron ka sa sarili mong bahay. And during this time also, mahalaga na meron ka nakatabing pera. Dahil pagdating sa mga ganitong panahon, minsan ang mga bilihin biglang tumataas. So we don't know what to expect, but just be prepared to have extra cash in your pocket. And then, yung ating mga important documents, make sure they are sealed and they are protected. Kasi in any case na magkaroon ng baha, pag hindi po siya nakalagay sa isang safe na lalagyan, pwede po ma-wash out lahat, pwede po masira lahat ng mga tinatago nating mga birth certificates, yung ating mga special na mga documents. So make sure they are really properly sealed, no po? And if you have small children, if you have babies, iba rin ang ating preparation pagdating sa ganyan. Because we have to entertain the children during these times kasi na-stress out din sila. So make sure we have the entertainment and comfort items included there. And also on this slide, you will see po yung mga additional resources na pinoprovide sa atin ng government such as the NDRRMC, Department of Health, nandiyan din po yan. So a lot of church or government websites that can help us really navigate more and be educated about how to prepare for these things. Now, ito po isang sample activity na pwedeng gawin ng isang family as they prepare for disaster and disruption. Ito po yung halimbawa, ang isang question dito is, what disasters are most common where you live? So you have to list them down below. Halimbawa, if you live in a place na talagang laging binabagyo, lagay nyo dyan, typhoon, may floods, may earthquakes, and marami pa. And make sure that every member of your family is involved when you meet para alam nila kung ano yung mga expect din. And they also know how to prepare with you. Then another question here na pwede pong explore ninyo is, what area of my life will they disrupt? For example, pag dumating po ang isang bagyo, it could damage our shelter. So when that happens, what do we do? Kailangan ba natin mag-evacuate? Is there a contingency planning in place? O kaya naman pagka nawalan tayo ng pagkain, na-cut down tayo sa food supply, anong gagawin natin? Can we survive on days without buying food? Because sometimes even if we have the money, hindi rin talaga siya viable to buy kasi wala talaga magbebenta sa atin ng pagkain. Okay? Now, this is a continuation of that planning for disruptions activity. Ito naman po isang worksheet para po pagplanuhan natin, halimbawa may flood, may typhoon or earthquake. Ang nakalagay po dito no, sa isa left column is the potential disruption. And then on the right column, you have the things you can do or store to prepare for these disruptions. Meron po tayong tinatawag na short term na ating mga gagawin and meron din tayong long term. For example, clean water is unavailable following the aftermath of an earthquake or a storm. Ano gagawin natin sa short term? Dapat po meron tayong extra case of bottled water handy. Multiply that by the number of people in your household to make sure na lahat ay iinom ng tubig for the next how many days na wala po tayong supply. But what happens if the unavailability of water is prolonged. Paano kung talagang walang tubig? So now we have to learn to think of long-term solutions. So get and learn to properly use a water filter, and we can also have water safe stored in large volume container. So maganda pong activity to kasi ang ating mga anak can also exercise their mind. Paano ba sila magka-come up po tayo ng mga brainstorming activities para makaka-come up tayo sa best solution sa ating mga families. Of course, andiyan din yung papaano kung walang tayo paglulutuan, paano kung biglang may nagkasakit o kaya naman aksidente, paano kung biglang wala ng kuryente, so we cannot communicate anymore. So all of these things, every possible disruption that you can think that might happen to you and your family during these times of disruptions, isulat po natin yan para na-foresee na natin how we are going to prepare ourselves. One important aspect as well during these trying times is to ensure that our families can communicate. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag na communication and gathering plan activity. So this worksheet naman po will help you create a plan for contacting each other during emergencies. Halimbawa po nito, kailangan natin maglista ng mga ating emergency contacts. Sino ba ang dapat tawagan ng ating mga anak? Kung hindi tayo umuwi ng isang araw nung gabing yon, saan sila pupunta na hindi sila matatakot at magpapanik? And then also we have to list down important phone numbers and make sure that we commit them to mind. Kasi minsan nawawala na yan, no? Kailangan natatandaan natin or it's safely recorded in a notebook or somewhere na madali mo ma-access anytime you need it. You also have to plan ways saan kayo makikita in any case na magkahiwa-hiwalay talaga kayo. Are you going to the church? Are you going to the police department? So dapat alam nating lahat yan ng ating bawat member ng family para wala pong maliligaw. And then we also have to, I suggest that we complete this form. Gawin po natin to, no, yung mga family contacts natin, yung pangapangalang neighbors natin and church work, and even the list of doctors and hospitals that are nearby sa inyong mga lugar. Okay? Especially important po ito para lalo na sa ating may mga maliliit na mga bata na hindi po sila mawawala or maliligaw sa ating lahat. Again, pick a safe place where you and your family can find each other after an emergency. Okay? And it's also a good idea to choose an alternate place. Kailangan alam natin where can we see each other. Okay? Now, let's move on to preparing for an emergency checklist. Kaya po sinawag na checklist kasi andi dito na yung mga provisions. But in any case na hindi nyo makita yung hinahanapan ninyo, you can actually add all of them here para kumpleto po tayo. So see that these things are done in wisdom and order according to Mosiah chapter 4 verse 27. So ito po nakalagay yung mga basic checklist and you can add if you want. Basically, we have food and water. Tapos ilang araw po tayong magsisave. Sabi nga natin 72 ARKit before pag nakat lahat talaga ng mga supply ng help, it takes at least 3 days before this people can kumbaga go back to a little bit ma-normalize ang situation. And yet, we don't want to prepare for 3 days only. We want to prepare for longer than that. In any case na talagang maprolong yung mga ganong klaseng inconveniences. And then, meron din tayong tinatawag, no? Sabi ko nga, ang ating i-prepare ay base po sa ilang bilang ng member ng ating family at kung ano po yung kanilang mga special circumstances and needs. So kung meron po tayong matanda sa ating pamilya, iba po yung kanyang mga pangangailangan, lalo na sa medical needs. Kung may baby rin tayo, iba rin ang pangangailangan nun. In other words, let's be wise, let's be prudent, and be careful as we select the things that we will prepare for an emergency checklist. Now, paano kung dumating nga yung panahon na kahit nakapagtabi tayo ng pera, pero wala naman tayong mabibilhan? Kaya ngayon pa lang tinuturo na po natin sa simbahan ang importansya ng paggawa ng ating home storage and production. Tayo mismo ang gagawa ng ating sariling pagkain and make sure that the other food na pwede nating itabi for later use will be ensured as well. So our church leaders have counseled us over and over again to store a basic supply of food and water at home for times of need. In the Old Testament, nakita po natin yan nung pinuntahan ni Pharaoh si Joseph because of a dream, and the dream was 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. So Joseph was wise in counseling everybody that they needed to save a portion of their harvest, about one-fifth of that. So yun po yung tinatawag natin, sinisave or ini-store natin. Some of those things that we can do are the short-term food storage. Yung mga lagi po nating kinakain, wag po tayo magtatabi ng mga pagkain na hindi naman natin kinakain kasi papaano na lang yun, hindi rin tayo masusustain. And make sure that these are shelf-stable items that are canned and packaged foods na talaga pong maayos ang pagkakastore natin para hindi po siya masisira, hindi po magkakaroon ng tinatawag na botulism or mapeperish yung mga in-store natin pagkain. And of course, water is very, very important. And not only do we prepare for 72-hour kit, but our leaders have taught us to prepare for longer supply. Ibig sabihin, tatagal po yan ng 3 months to 1 year, to even extended to a couple of years because there are certain kinds of food na pwedeng tumagal ng mga 30 years or more. Basta tama lang po yung pagkakapackage natin. Okay? So example of longer term food storage, andiyan dyan po yung mga pwedeng nating ilagay na rice, corn, yung mga mungo seeds natin, dried fish, any food na pwede po nating store properly that can sustain us for a longer use. Now, we have a separate training for this one and you can find a lot of resources sa atin pong Provident Living na website. Specifically, how to prepare all of this, such as storing food and necessities. Kasi kahit nakapagtabi ka nga ng pagkain, pero kapag dinaga naman siya o kaya naman pinesta ng mga iba't ibang mga insekto sa bahay, sayang din yung naging preparation mo. So make sure you know how to properly store food, how to properly store water. At tinuturo po yan sa ating simbahan. You just have to find the right websites. And even sa ating YouTube, marami kayong makikita ng mga Latter-day Saints who have launched their own YouTube channels to just teach people how to do things pagdating po sa storing essential foods. Now, tandaan natin na hindi lang lahat kinakain. Meron din tayong tinatawag na mga non-food but are essential as well, such as candles and lamps. Meron din tayong mga medications, hygiene supplies, ang ating mga laundry products, important documents, yung ating mga pwedeng higaan, and a means of communicating with our family during these times. We have here food storage frequently asked questions. Halimbawa po, where can I find room to keep food storage? Andiyan po yung mga sagot. At may tanong din dyan, what are some good ways to get started? How can I afford food storage? Maganda po itong discussion na to kasi baka naman ang gagawin nating model ng pag-prepare ng ating home food storage is for those who are earning this much, pero ang pinaka-purpose po ng ating ATPG is to really accommodate everyone. Ito po yung kahit anong level of income meron ng family, ay somehow, pakonti-konti, we can start doing our preparation. So it doesn't rest or it is not based on how much you earn, really. Ito po talaga ay paunti-unti, dahan-dahan, by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. And of course, andiyan din yung question na how can I regularly use and replenish my storage? Mahirap kasi yung panahon ng tagutom or pangangailangan, tapos pagbukas mo ng bag, nakain na pala. Okay, hindi na siya napakinabangan. Kaya lagi natin siyang nire-revisit. Baka naman marami nang nabulok o hindi na talaga pwedeng kainin dun sa mga tinabi nating mga pagkain. Okay, as members of the church as well, we are taught to also produce our own food. Mahalaga po ang food production and preservation. And on top of the list is that every member is encouraged to have their own garden. No, hindi kailangan na malaking area or lot sa ating pamamahay. In fact, even without soil, you can actually plant food and vegetables. Pwede tayo magsimula. So, where land is available, kung meron naman po kayong abundance of land in your backyard or kung meron kayong mga small farms there, then remember that you can plant vegetables and you can also learn about these things. Marami po tayong sources niya ng mga resources, Department of Agriculture that can give free trainings on this one. Marami po tayong mga mismong farm owners din na kahit hindi po member ng simbahan that can teach us how to do this. And, we have the organic farming as well. You have different productions. Meron kang mushroom, meron kang corn, may rice. So everything that we can lay our hands on and learn about how we can start growing our own food, that's the best way to go. Another thing to do is we can start raising our own animal production, small animal production. You can start with chickens, with rabbits, with kung ano po yung pwede nating palakihin na pwede nating kainin. We can have some ducks and goats. And of course, yung ating paboritong baboy, no? Pig production. So, lahat po yan. Just make sure that you will follow yung mga tinatawag nating mga zoning laws pagdating po sa pagpapalago ng mga animals, because there are places that we are not allowed to do that. But if you have the space enough to do this, why not? Just start with something small, because ito po yung source of protein. Importante po ito kapag wala na tayong mabilhan, paano na lang. Okay? And of course, we can also preserve food at home. Marami po tayong mga resources how you can do this. How to dehydrate yung mga fruits and vegetables, how to do canning, how to do freezing. All of these things can be taught. Marami po tayong pwedeng pagkuhanan ng mga sources na yan. Of course, our Relief Society is ever ready to help us with the trainings that we need, and actual mga demo how we can do this. Now, as a family, once again, you can sit down and conduct a meeting and plan your home storage activity. So here we will plan to build or improve your food storage. This is a chart provided for you where you will be putting the answers there sa mga questions. For example, what would you like your food storage goal to be? So ano po bang gusto nyo ma-achieve? Like in the next 3 months, makapag-build ka na ng iyong storage good for your family that can sustain you in the next 6 months or 1 year. Or which foods do you commonly eat that are shelf-stable or packaged or canned? So identify nyo na po yan, ano ba yung madalas natin kinakain. Make sure kung mahilig kayo sa pasta, mahilig kayo kumain ng spaghetti, no? Nakatabi yan. Alam natin na yun ang paborito ng mga natin kinakain sa bahay. Okay? O kaya naman gusto natin magtabi ng mga dried fish. We can do that. Which meals could you make using only your stored foods? So yung mga nakatabi mo mga pagkain, yung mga dilata mo dyan, and other foods na natabi mo, ano yung pwede mo maging recipe, mga bagong recipe na magagawa mo out of the things that you have stored? And then where can you store your food to make sure na hindi sila magpe-perish? And how might you add to your food storage on a limited budget? Importante po yan, pinaplano natin. We don't need to borrow money. Wag natin gagawin yun para makapagtayo lang tayo ng ating food storage. Do not borrow money. What you can do is to look for extra income, look for extra ways for you to earn money para yung makakaset aside tayo ngayon. Or kaya naman, we can reduce some of our expenses para we can put that para sa ating food storage on a monthly basis. You know, kada sweldo, malaking bagay yun naman, nakakapagtabi ka, sabihin mo 200 or 300 pesos specifically, intended for you to build your food storage. And lastly, what actions could you take to build your food that will go on for a longer supply? Okay, so this is a beautiful worksheet na gagawin po niyo itong chart na to para sagutan natin. Okay, we have here some additional activities for fat individuals and families. Sometimes creativity is needed, especially when we are teaching our children. Ng ating small children, they want to really explore, they want these lessons to be engaging. Ayaw nila ng mga straight lectures lang. So, ito po yung mga examples na pwede natin gawin ng mga activities that can make food storage activities so much fun and engaging for our members of the family. For example, meron tayong tinatawag na information hunt or non-food essential scavenger hunt, creatively fun storage, anything that you can pick from all of these choices and immediately gawin na po ninyo as a family. Okay? Now, we have also included the financial preparedness, and these are the guidelines. Importante po na we know how to handle our finances kasi hindi tayo dapat nagpe-prepare kapag andiyan na yung ating mga suliranin, but long before they come, we already know how. So number 1, brothers and sisters, let us not forget to be faithful and pay our tithes and give our generous fast offering. Also, let's try to avoid debt, especially the consumer debt, because that will not lead us to a good standing, no? Lalo tayong mababaon sa mga ganyang klase natin ng mga activities. And then let's make use of a budget. Alam po ninyo, napaka-importante niya kahit yung mga maliliit na mga expenses. Pag pinagsama-sama mo yan, malaki po yan. Okay? And then we also can use some financial planning tools. You can go to our churchofjesuschrist.org/self-reliance para makakuha po kayo ng financial planning tools. Now, gaano nga ba katagal ang dapat na binibuild natin as emergency fund? Well, to answer that question, depende po talaga yan kung hanggang saan natin. Pero at least man lang sabi sa atin, build a 1-month emergency fund, and slowly from there, you can build on many months until it becomes years. So work to build on 1 month emergency fund at to protect your family from financial troubles, lalo na po kapag may mga na-o-hospital dahil hindi ka tatanggapin sa hospital kapag wala kang down payment. And sad to say, marami po ang mga namamatay because they couldn't even pay for that 1 month. Yung kanilang deposit sa hospital. But if you had saved at least 1 month of your salary, meron kang kukunin sa panahon ng mga pangangailangan. Okay? And if you have debt, dapat po ma-pay off natin yan. No? Learn how to pay your debt, how to consolidate debts, and totally eliminate kung kailangan natin gawin yan. Also, brothers and sisters, wag po tayong tatakbo sa mga usapin na insurance because we really need it. Insurance is what you give. The gift that you give to your family. In any case na pumanaw ka as breadwinner, your family will not suffer. Insurance can help protect you financially. So marami pong iba't ibang klase ng insurances that can be discussed in our manual sa self-reliance class. But these are the most common: property insurance, crop insurance, health insurance, life insurance, and disability insurance. Dahan-dahan po again, do not be overwhelmed. But it's a good thing that you are hearing me now because ngayon alam mo na ito yung mga dapat mong sasandalan. Kaya ngayon pa lang, maghanap ka na kung ano yung mga insurances na pwede mong makita and make sure wag po tayong paluloko at wag po tayong dali-dali or nagmamadali sa pagkuha ng insurance na hindi natin naiintindihan. Okay? Ask those who are financial experts. Make sure that you are properly educated when you get this insurances for you and your family. Okay? Next is, make sure that we put a little away. Kahit mo gaano kasagana or abundant ang life natin, we do not know when the calamities or the crisis will strike us. So we better be prepared for those things. Ang kagandahan po nito, ngayon pa lang, we seek education para po, in any case that the breadwinner of our family, bigla siyang mawala o kaya naman maging disabled siya, if you are the wife, if you are educated, you will know how to fill in temporarily kung ano yung mga pagkukulang sa bahay. So, pag nakapag-aral tayo, napakadali sa atin maghanap ng trabaho o pagkakakitaan. We just have to open our minds and be ready for all of these things. And pagdating naman po sa pagbili ng ating mga home, make sure that pag-isipan din po natin yan. Huwag tayong papasok again sa pagbili ng isang bahay na hindi naman natin kayang you will be in debt for the next 30 or more years of your life. So it's not really worth it, right? So you have to plan for buying or renting a house very carefully. And lastly, do not neglect your preparation for retirement. Huwag po nating gawing retirement ang ating mga anak. Okay? Napag-aaralin natin sila hoping that when they graduate and they have their good, they're earning good, sasaligan na po natin sila. I mean, it's good that we are helping each other, pero just putting the burden to your children for your retirement is not really something that is taught in the church. So President Ezra Taft Benson said, as you move through life toward retirement and the decades which we follow, we invite all to plan frugally for the years following full-time employment. So ngayong malakas ka pa, marami kang pinagkakakitaan. Pag-isipan mo mabuti, magkano kaya ang pwede kong itabi para sa aking retirement? And make sure na kahit anong dumating, may mga midnight sale man dyan o kaya kung ano-ano mga sale, di mo gagalawin ang iyong retirement money for those trivial things. Na dahil hindi mo alam, by the time that you retire, at any age, pahabain pa ang buhay mo. So if you run out of money before you run out of time, mahirap po yun. So dapat the time na mabubuhay pa tayo, at least we live naman po na tayo po ay masagana and we will enjoy our lives. Okay? So, brothers and sisters, this is another checklist or a chart that you can help you with your financial preparedness activity. So, the first step to wise financial decisions is to understand how you currently spend and save. Kailangan mo talaga makita yan yung in and out of your money. No? Kasi pag hindi mo alam yan, you will do guesswork all your life. Kaya tracking your incomes and expenses can help you where your money is being spent. For example, ito po ay very simple checklist lang po talaga na pwede ninyong gawin. At kung gusto ninyong mas maganda pa, it's up to you. But for everyone, this is something na pwede mo lang isulat sa papel. Kahit sino pwedeng gumawa. You put the date, kung kailan nangyari ang expense, ano pong expense ang nangyari, at ano po yung pumasok na income at ano po yung pumasok na expense. At the end of tinototal po natin yan. Ilan yung pumasok, ilan yung lumabas. Pag negative yan, ibig sabihin nagkaroon tayo ng problema along the way. And probably we are resorting to a lot of debts para lang magkasya sa ating mga pangangailangan. So ang gusto natin is we have a positive cash flow, hindi po ba? So again, brothers and sisters, simple step, but a lot of people neglect to do this. That's why minsan nagkalisod o nagkahirap-hirap sila how to manage or yung kanilang finances. Okay? Next is, we now move to emotional preparedness. Okay, meron kang food storage, meron kang ring tinatawag na financial preparedness. Pero dumating yung crisis, dumating ang emergency, bigla kang pinangunahan ng panic, ng stress, anxiety, na baliwala lahat ng preparation mo. Okay? Emotional preparedness, being emotionally resilient is the ability to adapt to challenges with courage and faith in Jesus Christ. Okay? We can each learn skills to become more emotionally resilient. Good mental and emotional practices can help us prepare for the challenges of life. So ito pong illustration na nakikita ninyo is an overview of some of these practices. Okay? At the center of it is that we turn to God and seek to hear Him. Sabi nga natin, the surest foundation is when we rely on our Savior Jesus Christ. Okay? So part of that illustration, we have the develop healthy thinking patterns. Importante po yan. Na ang ating pag-iisip ay healthy. Because if we are always negative, if we are always thinking about the errors that are happening in our lives, mahirap po maka-move on. Okay? At mahirap maka-adapt. Also, there is this part that we manage difficult emotions. We don't have to, hindi natin kailangan talikuran eh. We just have to recognize what we are feeling, but we have to move out. Sabi nga ng turo ng isang speaker na nalaman ko, emotions really means to move out. Nararamdaman mo, but that doesn't mean that you have to dwell on that emotion. Also, we have to understand our bodies and emotions because baka naman pinipilit mo, no, you're trying to be that strong, but actually you need help already. So you have to know. Kasi kung hindi, pwede ka magkaroon ng tinatawag na mental breakdown. We also use healthy coping skills during difficulties. Kaya po, mahirap mag-resort tayo sa addiction dahil kapag nasanay na po tayo dyan, this will eventually destroy our lives, our peace of mind, and even our families. And then learn to build healthy relationships, importante po, and provide enough strength to others and draw strength from others. So minsan ikaw matatag and people rely on you. Sometimes you are not that strong. You also rely on other people. So it's a give and take. But all of this are important aspects for our emotional preparedness. Now, getting more help when needed, we have the different support groups. Meron po tayong tinatawag na emotional resilience. This is a self-reliance group that runs for 12 weeks. And this is good kasi ito po ay nagkakaroon ng interaction, no? So that we can know how to deal with our emotions. We also have the addiction recovery program group, in person and online, making sure that the confidentiality is intact. And the addiction recovery program for spouses and family support group, also in person or online. So you can ask your state and district kung meron po tayong mga available na ganitong addiction recovery program. If not, then they can always talk to us, your WSR managers, to find out how we can. Right? And then we also know how to and when professional help is needed, because sometimes we don't know that we are on the brink of giving up, but we fail to see the signs, even the signs around us, lalo sa family natin. So before it's too late, alam natin dapat how to spot those critical moments when people need help. Okay? We also have counseling from family services. So you can go to your bishop so that pwede tayo makapag-refer ng professional from family services dahil meron po tayong mga available na mga resource people to help us with this one. And also, we have to find the right professional help in the community. Maintindihan po natin no, na this is not a taboo topic. Dapat po, pag sinabi nating emotional mental health, we are open to this because you don't know as to when you're going to face it and how you're going to respond when they happen. Now, reducing stress and anxiety activity, lalo na po sa mga panahon talaga ng mga pagsubok. Okay? These are some of the ways that we can do to develop healthy ways to cope with stress. I hope that you can also educate your children, your family about this. Some of the things that they can do to manage their stress and anxiety before they go out of proportion or they go out of hand. Hindi na natin alam pa paano natin siya ititreat or how we can respond. Okay? Again, look for healthy ways to cope up, not the addiction na mga bagay na makakasira po sa ating mga buhay. Okay? This is a slide where you can see how we can develop healthy coping skills. This is an activity that you can do. So ngayon, maganda to kasi there's an example here how to choose your response. For example, think of a recent time when you were in a difficult situation. For example, maybe you faced a disappointment or you were criticized. Maybe you felt worried, made a mistake, or felt like you were not enough. So what was the situation? Isulat natin. And then review the potential responses and then circle how you responded in this situation. And then what other ways of responding do you often use? And which of the actions below would you like to start using more? With this list, makikita mo na that these are the common responses of people. So pag nakita mo na dyan yung iyong inclination and nakita mo na there is a better or healthier way to deal with that, then you can exercise to do those things more and start deviating or umalis tayo doon sa mga bagay that are unhealthy and not meaningful to us. Okay? I hope that you are paying attention to this one because ito po yung mga ways that we can teach our family, no, without really giving them lectures, but engaging all of them to become participative in this kind of discussion. Now, this is now the second part where I will explain to you what can you do now as leaders of the church. Kanina ang pinag-usapan natin yung sa mga preparation ng families and individuals. Now, let's move on a bigger picture where you are the leader. Okay, this is now the guidelines for the stakes, ward councils, and presidencies. Brothers and sisters, stake councils, ward councils, and presidencies assist units in working together to become more temporally prepared. So members have been counseled to work together to help one another build their temporal preparedness. As members do so, their hearts po will be knit together, no? And they will be knit in unity and love one towards another. Again, babalikan po natin yung ating cycle that we prepare for the challenges and then we experience them and then we try to overcome, and then there's this part that we have to heal and grow. We learn from what happened and then we go back to our preparation because it's really a cycle. No, walang katapusan po yan so long as we're here. Mga dinadanas natin specifically, mga geographically stated na mga challenges, kapag diyan ka talaga nakatira, you are prone to this one. So, yun po yung mga ganon na mga situation. Now, the role of councils is that ito po yung mga pwede nyo pang mga gagawin sa mga councils. Number one, you can prepare a simple written plan to respond to emergencies. Ang tawag po natin dyan ay SWEP or the Stake and Ward Emergency Planning Guide. I hope that as a stake, you can meet and then discuss with your bishops and branch presidents how you can come up with your SWEP. Importante po yan para tayo din, pag dumating na yung gantong klase ng hindi po tayo nalilito kung anong gagawin natin. We already know the first actions to take. Okay? Number two is to become an example of caring for those in need and helping them build self-reliance. Wag po natin silang iwasan. Okay? Because what we can do is to use this situation for us to extend our love and support to them. Number three, plan ways to teach members how to apply preparedness principles based on local needs. Meron po tayong mga tinatawag na local adaptation. So kung hindi possible na mag-store tayo ng food sa gantong lugar, probably you can look around. Ano ba yung pwede natin gawin? Do not dwell on things that you cannot do because they are beyond your control. What you can do is to just look for opportunities or resources that are available in your community and work. Start from there. And definitely when you have that kind of mindset, you will find a lot of solutions that can help you build your temporal preparedness. Okay? And then the next one is to provide opportunities to become prepared through lessons, activities, and ministering. I-activate po natin ang ating mga ministering brothers and sisters when they go visit. Kahit po ngayon, virtual visit lang. When they call their assigned brothers and sisters, tinatanong nila, kamusta na ang iyong area temporal preparedness guide? Nasa ang page ka na? Ano na yung wino-workout ng family ninyo? May nakatabi ka na bang emergency kit? May medicinal kit ka na ba? So these are the things na paulit-ulit natin tinatanong kasi repetition is really important. Marami tayong naririnig pero hindi natin natatandaan sa dami-dami din natin ng ginagawa sa ating mga buhay. Okay? And then consider inviting members to use the self-reliance plan to help identify strengths, needs, and resources for temporal preparedness. Ang self-reliance plan po, uulitin natin, is isang napaka-importanting dokumento that can assist our families identify their needs and then identify the solutions, identify the resources, and come up with a plan how to become more self-reliant. If they're having this kind of problem, how can they get out of this problem? If they want to achieve or move up to this ladder, how can they do that? So the self-reliance plan can show that family that through their own discovery, sila mismo mag-uusap, through their counseling and discussions, they will come up with the solutions to their own problems. But we are here to let them know that we support them in anyhow na pwede po tayo makatulong sa kanila. Okay? But they solve their own problems. Brothers and sisters, other things that we can do for activities para ma-promote natin ang Area Temporal Preparedness Guide are the following. Number 1, complete each of the individual or family activities for temporal preparedness. So if you are listening to this training video, I would encourage you po, simulan po ninyo sa inyong family tonight. No, mag-print na po kayo ng copy niyan at simulan na po ninyo. Involve everyone because the best teacher is really the one who walks the talk. Yung ginagawa talaga yung kanyang sinasabi. And then you can also share one section of this temporal preparedness guidelines and an accompanying activity in your ward, council, or in your presidency meeting. Pwede nyo po itong isingit as like a 10-minute or 15-minute activity. And then you can also use all 4 sections that we have discussed today para po sa inyong 5th Sunday lessons for your unit. Pwede nyo rin pong ipasok yan dyan. And then I also encourage you to work on your stake and ward emergency planning guide activities para po makapag-prepare na po tayo sa ating mga stakes and districts. And then we can also use the discussion guide, How Can I Minister to Others During a Crisis? It is a worksheet to hold the 5th Sunday Relief Society or Elders Quorum lesson for your unit, okay? And then lastly, I encourage you to choose a chapter from the Emotional Resilience Manual to use as a 5th Sunday lesson. Pwede rin po yan sa Relief Society at pwede rin po yan sa Elders Quorum lesson natin. Okay, so these are just some of the ways that you can get this word out. Ang mahalaga po, everybody will still be on board and everybody is working on their personal preparedness and family preparedness. Okay, so brothers and sisters, I hope that with this simple training presentation, na intindihan po natin and we have grasped the importance of preparation. Once again, ang mga calamities, emergencies, mga unforeseen events, darating po yan sa buhay natin. Pero ang mahalaga po dito is how we are going to respond the next time they arrive to our lives. And as we unite our families, as we unite our families in the ward and in the state, I know that we can face these challenges more strongly if we are unified. And it is my prayer as well that we will never forget that Heavenly Father is on top of everything and He cares for us deeply. Kaya po, binibigay niya sa atin yung opportunity for us to prepare para po dun sa mga bagay na kakulangan, siya na lang po ang magpupuno. But again, according to the scriptures, we have to act our part first and then God will show us mercy and do the rest. Brothers and sisters, thank you so much for your time and I hope that you will be able to share this immediately to your family members and to your wards and branches. I know these things to be true in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.